Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. I hope you're doing great wherever you may find yourselves, and blessings to all of you wonderful people out there. Today I am ranking the entire Genesis discography, studio albums only, 15 total, no live material, so let's go ahead and get started without any further ado. Coming in dead last, this is an album I don't like whatsoever. I think it's dreadful. 1997, the very last album they put out, Phil Collins not on vocals, Calling All Stations. This to me is not Genesis whatsoever. The opening song, the title track, has kind of a dreamy, bluesy, heavy guitar, which is actually quite cool, but it doesn't fit with the rest of the song, which is it's late 90s. It has a very 90s vocal shtick, if you will. It's what was part and parcel for the 90s with bands like Dishwalla. The vocalist doesn't sound exactly like the vocalist Dishwalla, but it has a very similar feel and tone and vibe to it. I like that one song by Dishwalla, Calling Blue Cars. Is that the name of the song? I think something like that. But this is not what Genesis is supposed to be vocally. I know people are going to disagree. Fair enough. But for me personally, I don't like the soft-spoken. Again, Dishwalla, 90s style, very soft-spoken. When Colin sings soft-spoken and when Gabriel sings soft-spoken, it's so different. This is just, cookie-cutter type soft-spoken, 90s type vocals. I don't like it. Despite the guitar, as I said, it doesn't go with the rest of the music. The vocals are just all wrong. Now, Congo would be a good song if you had the classic lineup. I think that song could be made into a quintessential Genesis song if you had the classic or near classic lineup, either Gabriel or Collins on vocals. This is a very boring, very uninspiring, very droll, very dull album. Very lackluster, just has no resonance for me personally altogether. So 15, Calling All Stations, an album they should just not have done. Feel the same way about this album that I do about Triumph's last album, where they get a new singer in, and it's just horrible. So 14, this is an album I don't like very much, if at all, as well, but I'd very much rather listen to this than Calling All Stations. I'm talking about the debut from Genesis to Revelation, which oddly enough, the story is that people thought, who were selling this in the record stores in the day, 67, I believe, 68, that this was a religious recording about the Bible, that sort of thing, so it was misplaced. And anyway, but I don't want my Genesis to sound like British Invasion, and I like British Invasion. I'm a big fan of that era, mid to late 60s, right? But I don't want Genesis to sound like, and this album did not come out into the States until after Trespass came out, thereabouts, according to my research. So what you have here is an Invasion-sounding type Genesis with folk-like qualities and strings at times. Just doesn't work for me. I like British Invasion music from the 60s and early 70s, if you will, that era, brief as it was. But here it doesn't work. Now you have the song When the Sour Turns to Sweet, which is kind of a hit. This sounds more like a Moody Blues piece than a Genesis song. Again, not what I want Genesis to sound like. If the Moody Blues had done the song, then it would fit. It has a Moody Blues type shtick and feel and tone and vibe. It's just, I don't like it. I'll say this though, the song One-Eyed Hound could be reworked, and it would fit as part of the classic Genesis sound. But of course, it would have to be reworked. The rest of the material here, I don't think, even if it was reworked, would sound like a good Genesis fare. But I think there's something different about One-Eyed Hound, the last track on the album, if I recall. So yeah, I think if you could rework it, it could fit well into. There's some of the, it's kind of foreshadowing some of the things you hear in Genesis to come. So 14 from Genesis to Revelation, not an album I care for much, if at all. 13 is Invisible Touch. This is not an album I like much, if at all, as well. But, well, let's talk about some of the songs. You have Tonight, 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 which sounds like a beer commercial. Throwing It All Away and In Too Deep sound more like Phil Collins' solo fare. Not really thrilled about these two songs either. These three songs. The title track is okay, but nothing special. Too commercial. The other songs are much worse than the four I've mentioned here. This is a really bad album now. So, like the previous album, I don't like it much, if at all, but I'd rather listen to Invisible Touch than From Genesis to Revelation. So these three albums that I just mentioned are the worst in the discography. Number 12, not much better than what I just mentioned, but I'll say a few things here. This is a horrible title for an album, first of all. Genesis and Dance, not what I would expect. The near title track, I Can't Dance. This is Genesis hitting a new low with respect to commercial, sucking up to commercial, commerciality, wanting a hit, that kind of thing. This song is worse than Invisible Touch. I'd rather listen to the song Invisible Touch than I Can't Dance. I appreciate the song Jesus, He Knows Me as a religious person, but it just isn't Genesis fare for me, despite the name of the band has a Genesis connection to the Bible and all that, the first book of the Bible. But it's not a religious song I want to listen to. I'd rather listen to some gospel, that kind of thing. So why is this album ranked higher than the previous one? Well, it's very simple. You have the song Driving the Last Spike, which is a 10-minute plus change epic track. It's very commercial sounding, but there's something moving and resonant about it, and the subject matter and the lyrics are quite compelling. So the music is a bit compelling. So this is a track I will listen to from time to time, but not often. 10 minutes, 9 seconds. So whereas with respect to Invisible Touch, I have no desire to hear Tonight, Tonight, Tonight. I have no desire to hear Throwing It All Away. I have no desire to hear In Too Deep. I have no desire to hear the title track, Invisible Touch. But of those four songs, I'd rather put on We Can't Dance and just listen to this one song and not listen to the others. So because I really like Driving the Last Spike, it gets to be in place in front of a lower ranking than Invisible Touch. So I don't listen to this album except for that one song. As I said, occasionally. I don't like the song No Son of Mine. It's boring to me. It's a tragic song. And then the rest of the album is dull as well. So it's just not my cup of tea. 12, We Can't Dance. So with let me talk about the next album. Number 11 is Duke. I like two songs on this album. There are moments here and there on Duke where musically I'm like, that's kind of cool. Okay, that's kind of cool. But overall, not much for me to like personally. Just too much bombast and fanfare kind of thing. It just doesn't sit well with me. But I love the two songs, Turn It On Again. I love the way that Collins sings, I, and then he goes off from there. Just beautiful the way the delivery. It's wonderful. This is a great song, I think. Collins' voice has a balance of to and fro between soft and grit at times. So it's really cool. And then the song Misunderstanding. I think this is a great song, despite that it's very commercial. And the joke here is that this has much in common with the Led Zeppelin song, Hey Bowie, the Led Zeppelin song Fool in the Rain, because they're both about being in the rain and waiting for someone. A little different, of course. Here we have Collins singing, I was standing in the rain for hours. You weren't there, as opposed to we learn at the end of Fool in the Rain where Plant chimes in some irony, whereas his date showed up, just he was on the wrong block. So anyway, I like these two songs, but unfortunately these are the only two songs I really listen to when it comes to Duke. Once and again I will put on the whole album and listen to it, and still not liking much except loving these two songs. So Duke coming in at number 11. Now that we're in my top 10, everything else here I really like, or even better than that. So Genesis, number 10, is the album Genesis. Well, I take that back. It's starting with the next one, number 9. For Genesis, I like about a third or half of it, so number 10. Mama, really like the song. I think this is a great song, and that's because who wouldn't like the song because of the resonance here, and if you have a heart, right, you're going to connect this, even though the song's not really about your mama, you're going to make that connection, I would think. And I can't speak for everyone, but at least for me, I do. And that's part and parcel as to why I like this song. Phil's stretched or just marvelous, and you get that creepy, remember the video where he gets up in your face and he's like, ha ha ha, ho, ha ha ha, ho. That's really cool, even though it's creepy. The song That's All is a good, catchy song. I do like it. Home by the Sea, very commercial, of course, yet rewarding and fulfilling in its own right in some way. Colin's vocals are very catchy. The phrasing is quite compelling. When he sings and stretches, Let Me Out of Here, is just fabulous. And then you have Second Home by the Sea, which is essentially a continuation of the first song, kind of like an immediate reprise. And most of it's an instrumental, except the last few bits. You have the vocals returning as a kind of a vocal motif, if you will, the reprise, if you will. This is a cool, rich, driving, resonant song for me, especially the guitar here. It's essentially a quasi-instrumental or 3/4 instrumental, because you have some vocals in the last section, but I think this is a great song. And then you get Just a Job to Do. And I had not heard this song until one day I come home from school, and my mom's watching something she recorded on the VCR, watching her soap opera, Days of Our Lives. And I'm thinking, like, is that Genesis? That sounds kind of a little bit heavy. Not heavy, but a little bit heavy. And so I sit down, and the song's playing during a scene where the bad guy, Steven, has a patch over his eye because he's missing an eye. He played a bad guy for a while and he became good. And then he's shooting at a British secret agent who's one of the good guys and trying to kill him. He doesn't, but thank goodness. And so while that's going on, you hear, the heavy part. I got a name and I got a number, etc. So the song's about a hitman, perhaps. It's a very 80s sounding song, but it's got its heavy moments, and that's the really cool part of the song. So if we talk about, very briefly, the songs I mentioned, Mama, That's All, Home by the Sea, Second Home by the Sea, and Just a Job to Do, 5 or 6 songs. So about half the album I really like. The rest of it you can keep. Illegal Alien, what were they thinking with that song? Thinking It All Too Hard sounds like another Phil Collins solo song. Everything else, nope, you can keep it. So including Illegal Alien and Thinking It All Too Hard, can do without that. So Genesis, the self-titled number 10. Now everything else from here is something that I treasure for the most part. All right, next is Abacab, number 9. A little stupid title, but regardless of that, the title track I think is great. Colin's voice in this album is dynamite, I think. He's best on this album when he has that edginess to him. He has some bite to his voice on this album. You got edgy pop song, really, in some stuff here. And I wrote down more of this, please. Some edgy pop songs here. Collins, Banks, Rutherford sound great on this album. The instrumental section of Abacab, the guitar, it's just, I think, wonderful. So yeah, Abacab, the title track. Collins' voice is dynamite because of the edginess. And essentially, like I said, it's an edgy pop song, which is real cool, and I want more of it. And the instrumental section I like. The guitar is great from Rutherford here near the end especially. And then you get No Reply at All. It's a light pop song with horns. I still like it. Has a, I don't know, maybe a slight comparison to the Beatles, maybe. I have question mark written there, something about it. Then you get this slow and yet compelling song, Man on the Corner. I'm sorry, if I said the whole album has some edginess to it, I meant to say just the title track has some edginess to it that I like. Excuse me. So Man on the Corner, slow yet compelling. It's got some mystery to it. Collins' vocals again. This could be a solo record for Collins, and yet I like it. A lot of his stuff in the Genesis catalog that sounds like could be like on a solo record, like the ones I mentioned on these albums that I've finished talking about. Those are the ones I don't like, but it works here very much. So yeah, Collins' vocals again could be a solo song, but it works as a Genesis song. And then you have the song Like It or Not. It's not a hit, but I think it's a great song, and the vocals are phenomenal. And then finally, the last song, Another Record. I think this is a fabulous song. It's very relaxing. The song gives great advice, and it's a perfect way to end an album because I can't tell you how many times I listen to this record straight through, as I often do. Not always, but often do. And then when this song comes on, what do I want to do? I do want to put on Another Record. So yeah, Another Record I think is an underrated treasure or gem. So we have, Abacab, No Reply at All, Man on the Corner, Like It or Not, and Another Record are my five favorite songs on this album. But the rest of the album I like too. So I'm very fond of this album, despite its commerciality. It succeeds where the other commercial stuff outside of Genesis, the self-titled album, this album, Abacab, and Genesis self-titled work. The other ones do not. Just too uber commercial. All right, next, number 8, and then there were 3. Down and Out, I think, is a great song. It's weird yet oddly satisfying with respect to its tempo. The music here is rich and warm, as much of the whole album is, if not all of it. This has an edgy classical vibe to it. And then you get the wonderful song, perhaps my favorite song on this album is Burning Rope. Collins' delivery vocally is great. It's very dreamy, like most of the album or much of the album. Very commercial, but I like it. The vocals are great, as I said. You have some softness here with great lyrics. The lightning bolt that Collins refers to. It's got an atmospheric charm to it. It's just so moving, like most of the album. The overall tone and instrumentation and arrangements of this whole album is just a marvel to hear, I think. Next, we get Deep in the Motherlode, one of the standout tracks for me. Similar to Burning Rope, if not the whole album. It's very atmospheric. The instrumental section is fabulous too, though it's a bit brief. That's one complaint about it. Rutherford imitating Hackett on guitar here near the last minute or so. I love it. Then you have the song that's so beautiful, Many Too Many. It's rich, it's warm, it's great. And then the last 4 songs is a bit of a falling off, but I do like them. I like all the songs, starting with the first through and including Many Too Many. But boy, the last 4 songs, there's just kind of I don't want to say it's a letdown, just a bit of it's not a total a bit of a falling off. They're just not as compelling and rich and warm as the ones already mentioned, but there's some warmth to it, and it's still that atmospheric and the overall arrangement and tone and sound and vibe that you get that parallels everything that came before. It's just not as good, but I think this is a great album, if you ask me. Just something warm and compelling about it. So 8, it's kind of it's just a great album for me. So number 8, and then there were 3, although when I first heard it, I did not like it at all, except for Burning Rope, but I love this album now. Number 7, Wind and Wuthering, the last album with Steve Hackett. You start with the near epic 7 minutes and 45 seconds, the 11th Earl of Mar. The opening's really cool, classical meets dreamscape, if you will. You have Collins singing "Daddy, oh Daddy, Daddy." Kind of didn't like it at first when I heard it, but I've warmed up to it a long time ago when I first heard it as a teenager. But overall, the song is great. Even though that's probably the worst or my least favorite rather part of the song, where he sings "Daddy." Rutherford's bass here is phenomenal. Banks' playing is fabulous. It's the best part of the song, the middle section, what Banks is doing. And Collins' voice is phenomenal. Go figure. Next is One for the Vine, approaching 10 minutes or around 10 minutes and something. First half of the song is very dreamy, classical sounding, and then midway through the song gets very quirky, sounds of industry, if you will. And then it switches to a more upbeat prog flair, if you will. And then the vocals shift in tempo again, back to some dreamy music. Really cool song, I like it. Then you get Your Own Special Way, which is a song I have a love and hate relationship with. The chorus is too saccharine or sappy, so it's okay, I guess. And then Watt Gorilla is a stupid title. The song is okay, and musically it's okay, but it's a good song. It's not a great song. All in the Mouse's Night is good, not great. I'll leave it at that. My favorite song that I turn to if I don't want to listen to the album in full, but I will play the song, is the beautifully written and arranged and sung Blood on the Rooftops. Tragic, but it's beautiful. It's a top 10 Genesis song for me. Acoustic goodness from Hackett. It's beautiful, as I said. And Collins' voice. Collins and Hackett steal the show, but of the two, Collins steals the show even more. It's just the combination of that acoustic loveliness from Hackett with Collins' voice is just amazing. And when he sings the phrase, Blood on the Rooftops, see those hairs on end, folks? That's how much I love this. This is a wonderful song. This is a genius of a song. Goosebumps every time. Lyrics are wonderful. Most compelling song in the discography with Collins on vocals, if you ask me. Next, we get Unquiet Slumbers. Blah, blah, blah. I forgot the rest of the title. This is a cool instrumental. This is really an intro to the next song, That Quiet Earth. In That Quiet Earth, which follows next. Some cool feedback here. Hackett is wonderful here also. And I really love Into That Quiet Earth. So I would argue that Unquiet Slumbers, Into That Quiet Earth, and Afterglow make up really one suite. The lyrics of all of these three songs is where there is lyrics is poetic and beautiful, and Collins' voice in the music is just so inspired. Side 2 of this, as much as I like 11th Earl of Mar, which I think is wonderful, as well as One for the Vine, it's really side 2, which is really where the album takes off. So Wind and Wuthering, great album, I think, in many ways. Number 6, so that was number 7. Number 6, finally some props, is Trespass. Everything else I have in MP3. Folk prog goodness, if you will here. It's a wonderful album. Gabriel's vocals are wonderful and inspired. You have some wonderful acoustic and electric guitar here. The bass is phenomenal. Banks is foreshadowing his signature sound to come in the next album and beyond. You have that brief galloping moment, which is foreshadowing the later stuff with Nursery Crime, etc. Then you get Looking for the first track I should mention, On Looking for Someone, 7 minutes and 6 seconds. I think this is a great song. The last minute and a half of the song is the best part. It's fabulous. Then you get White Mountain, almost an epic, approaching 7 minutes. It's romantic, has that romantic vibe, tonal wise, and romantic with respect to, it's a pastoral song about nature. It's folky, it's some wonderful flute. You have that build up 1/3 of the way in. It's moody at that point, and you got this impending threat. And Gabriel, of course, this is the piece de la resistance, if you will, where Gabriel comes into his own here, and he sings or belts, "Only the king sees the crown of the." Let me start over. Only the king sees the crown of the gods. The way he delivers that is great. And towards the end, you have that Gregorian chant, a monk-like singing near the end with that lovely acoustic guitar layered in White Mountain. This is a great song. Then you have the third song, Visions of Angels, beautifully composed and sung song. It's delivered beautifully from Gabriel. Banks' style here is a joy. The build-up, the first a third into the song rather, the quiet parts, then piano, flute, hushed vocals. I think that's the best part that comes after the build-up, right? The lyrics are inspired once again, and you have the bass, the last 40 seconds of the song with those angelic ahs is just wow, it blows me away. Then we get to Stagnation, an epic track near 9 minutes. Cool acoustic intro, dreamy fantasy realm stuff, like the whole album really. The flute is marvelous. Gabriel's hushed vocals, halfway, the first half of the song. Then Gabriel's voice gets higher up in the mix, the last 2 minutes or so. It's edgy when he sings, I want to drink, and then it gets soft again, so it's light and shade. What a great song. Stagnation is my second favorite song on this album. I think you know what my favorite is. Dusk is next. Cool acoustic song. Great deep cut for the album. I'm wondering if this song's folkiness and pastoralness, if that's a word, inspired Rush for A Farewell to Kings in the whole album, not just the song. And you have Gabriel sing, Now My Ship is Sinking, tragic sounding ending with the piano. It's wonderful. Then you get my favorite song on the album, which is The Knife. Heavy keys and bass intro. Kick-ass Genesis here, especially the live version with Steve Hackett on guitar. About destroying evil, going to war, stand up and fight, face the evil. Heavier guitar at the 108 mark. Gabriel's voice is heavy when he sings, some of you are going to die, you're not going to make it back, but you're fighting for a good cause. Some of the greatest bass in the entire Genesis catalog in the song. I can't stress enough how cool the guitar in this song is, especially the live version, again, with Steve Hackett. The middle section, you have some flute, hushed tones, low vocals. I'm in music heaven here, folks. This is great. And then you have some Howe-like guitar, Steve Howe-like guitar, but it's brief after that middle section, and then it changes again. You get the solo. This is the gem of the album, folks. Save the best for last. At the end of the song, you have the battle with the drums, the motif from Banks, from his playing, and Gabriel's voice, just beautifully done. And then the bass from Rutherford sounds like Gary Thayne a bit from Uriah Heep. This is wonderful. So, yeah, what a cool album to have. Their sophomore effort, first in the United States, though. So, Trespass number 6. Number 5, A Trick of the Tail. And Collins had some big shoes to fill, and he filled them marvelously with Gabriel leaving to go solo. He fills them nicely, as I said. The intro to Dance on a Volcano is superb. This is a near perfect album in so many ways. I love the way the front cover and the back reveals the song titles and the songs. What's really interesting is the first time I heard the first song, Dance on a Volcano, I'm like, okay, my record is skipping, but it's not. That's how it's meant to be. That's the how fast the signature change is in the song. It's wonderful. It's weird yet cool. I've gotten used to it. Took a few lessons as a young man. I remember, I think it was my mom coming in. She's like, "You got to bring that back. It's skipping." And then finally I was like, "No, that's how it's supposed to be." And she's like, "Okay." The song speeds up at the 4.5 mark. Quirky ending, though, was a nice touch. Then you get Entangled, and there's a nice acoustic number. I'll leave it at that. And then you get the wonderful Squonk, which I think would fit nicely on Abacab for some reason. This is an amazing song, folks. They're firing on all cylinders, the whole album, but this song, they're above and beyond firing on all cylinders on this song. This is one of the best Phil Collins songs in the Phil Collins era of Genesis, if you ask me. Then you get Madman Moon. Piano is great. Phil's voice is great. Then Robbery, Assault, and Battery is up-tempo. You have the catchy song title. The guitar is great. The tempo changes that parallels the opening song. And a wonderful instrumental section. It's glorious. Ripples. Once Phil Collins' voice picks up in the song, we really get going. It's a light and shade song. Reference to Helen of Troy. I can dig that. I think this is a really cool song. Then you get to the title track. It's my least favorite song. On the album. It's a good song, not a great song for whatever reason. Then finally, well, I'll say this about the title track. The chorus is stellar, as is Collins' voice, and everything the band's doing here. Well, I'm sorry, I misspoke. My notes are a little hard to read here. What I meant to say here is that this is a great song. the title track is a great song, but of all the songs on the album, it's the least great, if that makes sense. Degrees of greatness, right? So sorry about that. Los Endos, to end the album, the end, if you will. Musicianship here is just dynamite, cool instrumental. It's warm. It's just a great warmth to the song, and it fits well on Seconds Out. So yeah, great way to end an album, and I'm a big fan of that. So number 5, A Trick of the Tail. Coming in number 4, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Hypnosis album cover. Have Gabriel playing the role of Rael or Rael, hence the second part of his last name, right? And stepping to the acting role of the part he's going to play. There's nothing else like this album in the entire discography. It's unique. It breaks the flow of expectations. I think the first time, well, at least for I can't speak for everyone, but the first time I heard this album, I'm like, in its entirety, I'm like, this is nothing like anything they did from Trespass through, and including the album before this, which I'll talk about soon. And it's nothing like, and yet it's a great album. It's number 4 here. So it breaks the flow of expectations, at least for me. Some people have said that as well. Maybe not those terms. Yet it's amazing. I think this is a headphones album for me, to pick up on those little nuances like the opening track you don't hear on the radio when you play it because it's too low in the mix, but you hear Gabriel saying some things low in the mix that are overdubs with what he's already singing. So it's very quirky, not quirky, it's odd, but cool and compelling at the same time. So yeah, the title track, the opening fugue-like piano from Banks is just classical or Baroque goodness. Then you get Flying a Windshield. Halfway through, there's a shift with this dreamy eeriness, if you will. The instrumental piece is fabulous. I love what Hackett's doing in the song. Then Broadway Melody 74, Gabriel's voice with that eeriness continues. Great. It's a dramatic piece, poetic lyrics. My least favorite song is Cuckoo Cocoon. I don't like the way Gabriel sings that. It's a little cringy to me, but the rest of the song I do like. I just don't like the chorus. In the Cage, Banks here is amazing. The Great Parade, the 6th track, is okay music-wise, but the phrasing of Gabriel's vocals is what makes the song worthwhile. Then Back in New York City, Gabriel's edgy bite to his tone is fabulous. 8, Hairless Heart is one of my favorite pieces here. It's dreamy, it's moody, there's a sense of mystery. It's a beautiful piece. This is just a beautiful song outright. And then you get Counting Out Time, which is a pop melody. It's okay. Probably my second least favorite song on the album. Next, you get the Carpet Crawlers with a highlight of the album with that wonderful chorus. Then Chamber of 32 Doors. Hackett's guitar is stellar here in that intro. Rutherford's bass is amazing. It's dynamic. It's rich. It's warm. I love when Gabriel sings, "If You'd Help Me Find a Door," right? Then you get Lily White Lilith. "She leaves me in my darkness. I have to face my fears." Gabriel sings, and we can relate to that, right? So such an important message, thematically rich here. And of course, you know, this is the descent into the tunnel, the metaphorical hell part, if you will. The Waiting Room is next. This is kind of like Pink Floyd's on the I just talked about this recently, the Man in the Journey suite, where you have the sound effects of the doors and things opening and closing. It's kind of like that, but more noises. You have sound effects, headphones you need for this, I think. Breaking glass, a wailing sound. The last third of the song is just so amazing, that instrumental piece. The instrumental stuff on this album is just so superb, as is pretty much everything here. And then you get Anyway, great piano. The last third of the song, you get some wonderful guitar, though it's brief, and that bass that comes after that is brief, but it's heavy in piano as well. This is a moving piece, musically speaking. I love it. Then you get Here Comes the Supernatural Anesthesiast. I wonder if he's the same character that's similar to the long-winded title in Supper's Ready. I'm not sure. For some reason, I think of the two as the same, as one is an avatar of the other. I don't know if that's intentional. Could be over-analyzing. But the theme here, last third. The last theme of this album pretty much is that you have so many songs in this wonderful album, this glorious album, where the last third or last fourth of the album is this instrumental goodness, this culmination, this climax. It's just beautifully done and arranged. So the last third or fourth part of the song here is the most captivating. So again, a lot of the music here throughout the album, most of the songs, or at least half of them, you get the last section, which is the most compelling. And it's meant to, I guess, segue to the next piece. It's beautifully done. This is a beautifully done album, production, you name it. Next is the Lamia. The music here is so rich. Again, the last section is the best part of the album. Banks' piano is wonderful. Hackett's guitar, I wrote down, oh my God, that's how good it is. Oh man, the Lamia, what a great song. Can't get enough of it. 17, Silent Sorrow and Empty Boats, a short and sweet and beautiful instrumental. Next, The Colony of Slippermen. As someone who teaches romantic poetry, Byron, Shelley, Keats, Wordsworth, etc., I love it every time. Never gets old for me when Gabriel quotes, I wander lonely as a cloud from Wordsworth, and then his own lyrics after that. It's a bit quirky song-wise. It's a good song, not a great song, but I do like it. It's a bit of a intriguing instrumentation at the end. Here is how I wished Gabriel sang the song, the whole song, instead of the quirky way earlier on. So if Gabriel sang the way that he does in the last moments of the song would be that much richer and better. And of course, it's setting up the next song, which is Ravine. You have the wind and the sci-fi-like spaceship noises. I'm not sure if they meant it sound like spaceship noises, but they do from those old classic sci-fi movies from the 50s. It's brief, though. The song is. So Ravine, number 20. The Light Lies Down on Broadway, the companion piece to the title track, a reprise, if you will. The same music, just different lyrics for the most part. Rael sings My Home, Is This the Way Out? Question mark. Wonderful flute or a bow. It's eerie. They have this eerie effect too on the wah-wah pedal. Perhaps it sounds a little bit like Uriah Heep's Sweet Lorraine, that wah-wah thing going on, that waka kind of thing going on. Kind of, not exactly. It's great though. Then we get Riding the Scree. Rael's still trying to get home. He's ditching his fear. He's taking that advice. Drive to survive, he says. Odd, weird voice. You've got nothing on me, right? It's a low baritone. Not sure who that is. Is that Gabriel? Probably. Maybe not. It's odd, but it works. That threat still to Rael's safety. And then you get that Here I Go, and you have the fanfare, which kind of parallels some of the music in Duke. Then you get in the Rapids. Gabriel's soft voice at times is wonderful. The music is lovely. He's waiting for John, he says, Rael is. And hang on, John, he belts. And then he says, that's not your face, it's mine. So the interpretation many of us has is that in saving John, Rael saves himself. Yeah. And then finally we get, and that segues to the last song, which is It. And when I first heard It, I thought this was I still think this is a great way to end an album. But it's a little bubbly at the beginning and the middle and the end. I like this part. It's almost near perfect to what you have to end the album on a happy note because Rael gets home. But it's a little too bubbly for me. So I kind of have a love-hate relationship. I look forward to this end of the song to wrap things up and Rael's home now, but at the same time it's a little it just, I don't know. So anyway, but I get why it has to end an album. So again, a little bit of love-hate for the song, but what a great album. The vocals are great here. The acoustic guitar here is great on It. And the fade out is cool, and the fade out of the song here is perfect. So wow, what a great album. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Next, number 3 is Nursery Crime. Yes, I like it more than their previous album. You have one of my favorite songs here. Well, I'll say this. The opening song and the closing song are two of my favorite songs from Genesis of all time. Perhaps why it's here at third. The Music Box, one of my favorite. As I said, Gabriel's voice is stellar. This is a light and shade song. You have, if you think Iron Maiden invented that galloping thing, or Heart or Sweet, with Barracuda and the song on Desolation Boulevard by Sweet. I think this is even earlier. I have to look at my notes. But anyway, yeah, so there's that galloping from Hackett. When there's a heavy moments, it's just beautifully done. I love that light and shade of the song. And you have the soft-spoken voice from Gabriel singing, so soft and yet so poetic and so majestical. It's beautifully, it's pastoral and heavy at the same time in parts. And again, does this foreshadow Rush's A Farewell to Kings? I think that it does, whether deliberate or not. We know that Rush was into Genesis heavily at the time of recording A Farewell to Kings, but what songs really did it for them to want to do A Farewell to Kings and do their Genesis album, right? You have the heavy ending to the song. The guitar is just blisteringly good, and the beautifully before that, where Gabriel sings now, now, now. It's just great. The motif with the guitar in the song is just fabulous. I love me the song. The second track, For Absent Friends, nice, slow, pastoral folk song. I'll leave it at that. It's beautifully done, though. Then you get the wonderful epic, The Return of the Giant Hogweed. Cool, yet quirky intro from Banks. Gabriel's voice is edgy and inspired. Banks is great here. Hackett and Rutherford too. Collins' drumming is inspired, perhaps some of his best. The piano is lovely. It's exquisite. The heavy ending is perfect to the song. The song is a masterpiece. Then you get Seven Stones. The song is all about Gabriel's delivery. It's soft and edgy vocally, and it has a beautifully mesmerizing ending. Then we get Harold the Barrel, my least favorite song on the album, but it is a good song. It has a Beatles-like silliness to it, more on that later, but I do like it. It's a fun song, but the end gets serious with that piano, so there's a little bit of seriousness towards the end. Make of that what you will. Next is the wonderful deep-cut Harlequin. The music here is delightful. Has an early Pink Floyd feel in the beginning moments of the song. I can't put my finger on what part of Pink Floyd in the early part of their catalog, perhaps somewhere in their first 2 or 3 albums. But anyway, that moves away from that. It moves away from that, but it's got a great tone all around. And then we get the wonderful Fountain of Salampsis, that opening intro. This whole song keeps me in goosebumps from beginning to end. Borrowing from Ovid's Metamorphosis about the tale of Hermaphroditus who merges with a woman and becomes unified, and he has to live the rest of his days immortal, fused with another person's being. And of course, Salampsis says, "We are one," right? That didn't come out right, but anyway. So the opening gives me great goosebumps. Gabriel's delivery throughout, he spots a doe that he goes, that the protagonist is hunting for, right? It's very mysterious and haunting, and you know what's coming once you've heard it, or you know the story that he seals his fate once he drinks, from the waters of the fountain. And the water tasted sickly sweet, sings Gabriel. It's dark, it's heavy, it's moody, it's pastoral. Rutherford's bass just kicks ass in the song. Banks plays beautifully as well. Hackett and Rutherford's section with Collins is just awesome. That kind of galloping thing continued on from the first song on the album. The guitar is moody at the end. It's a wonderful crying, weeping guitar from Hackett. Poor Hermaphroditus, son of gods. All right. So that's the end of that album. Coming in at number 3. Number 2 is Foxtrot. Sometimes these switch, but most days this is 3 and most days this is 2. So today this is 2. What a great album. Nothing on here I don't like. Watcher of the Skies is a wonderful tune. One of their best classical-like intro or Baroque. Very Phantom of the Opera-like about an alien figure looking back on Earth and saying we shouldn't judge this race kind of thing. You have this, after they get that classical intro, the hushed stuff with more proggy beats, if you will. The percussion and bass here is wonderful. Banks comes in again, and that's when Gabriel sings, "Judge not this race," etc. The instrumental, the last 1/5 of the song, or last fourth of the song, is just what makes the song in so many ways. What a great song. Timetable, classical or Baroque intro. Rutherford's soothing bass lines are wonderful. You have some soothing melodies here. Time, space, and race are words that are mentioned. They're important thematically to look into ourselves, right? And the ending is just marvelously beautiful. Then we have Get 'Em Out by Friday. Yeah, Get 'Em Out by Friday, which is quirky. The bass is wonderful, though. It's a treatise on materialism, a criticism of that. Gabriel rolls his R's here. The arrangement is just marvelous. It's pastoral at times with that brief flute, which I just love. And then the song picks up again. Cool song. Then you get Can Utility and the Coastliners. Great song if you ask me. Gabriel's soaring voice in brief moments is wonderful. When the music gets louder, then you have that, well, you get music gets louder after the intro, then you have the acoustic part comes in, which is unbelievable. Then the drums with Banks's keys is beautifully done and arranged. Some soundtrack-like feel moments to the song. This song has all the hallmarks of what makes a great Genesis song. Different tempo changes, different tempos, hushedness, heaviness, quirkiness. It's their quintessential sound. So Can Utility and the Coastliners, cool song. Then you get the wonderful Horizons, nice acoustic instrumental from Hackett. This song is to Genesis what Steve Howe does on Yes is Fragile, yet it's softer, of course. Then you get the magnum opus song for many of us, myself included, the suite that is called Supper's Ready, divided into 6 or 7 parts. My favorite part are the first 2 parts and then the last part. Those are my 3 favorite sections. The story goes that Gabriel thought that his wife was possessed or something. Who knows what that's all about, but you get the exorcism across the lawn, right, as Gabriel sings 6 saintly shrouded men, and then the 7th one in front carrying a giant cross because his wife didn't look quite right. The music is great, beautifully arranged and done, the whole song. Supper referring to perhaps the Eucharist and communion. Gabriel's delivery is exquisite throughout the whole song, as is Hackett's playing. All the arrangements from Banks' little key-like etudes, the segues are brilliantly done. There's no, it's done. The segues don't disrupt the flow of things. In other words, they're done beautifully. The journey here is just mesmerizing. All instruments and Gabriel's voice are just stellar, top-notch, above and beyond wonderful. There's nothing like this in the prog world whatsoever, and I don't think there will be again, let alone rock and roll. We'll never see the likes of this again. Then you get the section, the quirky part with, at the 11-minute mark about Narcissus, and then what a flower, right? Has a musical box reference to. Then you get the eerie section at the 14-minute mark with some pastoral flute, which is just lovely, heavy keys and percussion. Then you have later on Gabriel shouting out 666 and sweet rock and roll. Then you get the return to the beginning near the end of the song with having to get back home and the angel standing in the sun, very Blake sounding, very Book of Revelation sounding. And, God is mentioned in his New Jerusalem, beautifully sung. And then, of course, circling back to the beginning where Gabriel sings to his wife, "Don't you know our love is true?" It's a love song as well as it is a spiritual one. What a great song, Supper's Ready, to close out the album. So that was number 2. And then finally, you figured it out by process of elimination. My favorite Genesis album is Selling England by the Pound. You have this wonderful album cover to reflect the criticism of British society at the time, the politics, if you will. This is a near perfect album, if not a perfect album. It's close, I think, to being a perfect album. Social commentary is rich here. The album cover isn't just an album cover, it's to hint of the lyrics to come and the theme and the message, if you will. This is the most inspired album for the band, for me personally. It's very poetic, lots to interpret here. There's always a lots to interpret. Supper's Ready is in their catalog, and then Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, etc. But there's so much to interpret even more here. There's papers been written on the first song alone by people. So I love the phrasing in the first song, Dancing with the Moonlit Night, which is essentially, the subtitles of this is, I think, Selling England by the Pound, because that is sung in the actual song. You have the Queen of Maybe, beautifully delivered. The phrase Paper Late pops up, foreshadowing the song later in the catalog. Paper Late cried a voice in the crowd. Title of the album here, the way that Gabriel delivers "Selling England by the Pound." Do 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 do. This is great. Hairs on end, goosebumps. The motif from Hackett is wonderful. Banks's keys are fabulous. Hackett's heavy solo is just never gets old. I love it. It's a light and shade song, very much like the Musical Box in regard. Gabriel's phrasing here is one of his best. Soft ending is a nice touch. Then we get the quirky Beatles-like. It's been compared to the Beatles. I know what I like in your wardrobe, right? It's quirky, but I like it. It's catchy and fun, and I'll leave it at that. Then you get what is, for me, my favorite Genesis song of all time, and that is Firth of Fifth. Banks playing is his best here. Gabriel's delivery, perhaps his best. The 4-minute mark, you get the wonderful instrumental section. Serious, it's what's what I call serious whimsical or whimsically serious. My words, the piano is beautifully delivered. The motif comes back, but it's a different octave. It's louder. And then Hackett's solo is off the rails for me. It's not heavy and fast and furious, but it's heavy in the sense that it's the slow, haunting, moody, beautiful song, beautiful piece. It's a beautiful solo. It's a haunting solo. It's a chilling solo. It's got some wonderful crying, weeping guitar. It's absolutely, in my opinion, Hackett's best guitar part of all time, and Rutherford's bass underneath is just phenomenal. Yeah. And then you have lost my place. Oh, you have that soaring at the 7-minute 46 mark briefly from the guitar. Then at the 8:20 mark, you have the hushed instrumentation. Then Gabriel's voice comes back with the sheep remain inside their pen until the shepherd, blah. It's a very religious, thematic, Jesus as the shepherd, that kind of thing. I think it's beautifully done. If not, it's still great nonetheless. It's very pastoral, of course. And then, of course, like Rush here, Genesis sings about constant change. And, of course, maybe that's where Rush got the inspiration for doing quite a few songs regarding how the only constant we have in life is change. The piano to end the song is just, oh my God, amazing. It's a headphone song for me because of the beautiful music that is contained within. There's a similar tone to, or it would fit well with within the confines of Supper's Ready. I was in a band briefly called Fountain, and I was just singing. I wasn't playing the bass or anything. And one of our plans was to incorporate somehow this song inside of Supper's Ready, but then we broke up. We never got... Anyway, so number 4, More Fool Me. Collins on vocals. So this is early on in the career, or fairly early on. We get beautifully sung vocals from Collins. This is a beautiful song, slow ballad. It's just wonderful. It picks up a bit near the end with cool acoustic guitar. I love the song. Next is the Battle of Epping Forest. Almost 12 minutes long. It's an epic. Percussion is my favorite part of the song. Great lyrics too, but the percussion is where it's at for me here. Gabriel's delivery, of course, is pretty damn cool too. Lots to interpret here, of course, so it's because it's so poetic. Then we get the wonderful After the Ordeal. It's medieval sounding. It's pastoral, foreshadowing Rush, maybe again, Farewell to Kings. Wonderful instrumental here in the middle section, if you will. Electric guitar at the 3-minute, 18-second mark is moody but not heavy, and it fades out. This is a great song, an underrated gem. And then we get the Cinema Show. What a great song. Similar to Music Box in tone, I think. It's soft, hushed pieces at first. Then it picks up halfway through. You get that instrumental section. Percussion is great. Proggy goodness here. With Banks and Rutherford's, everyone here playing their part, meshing so well as bandmates. Hackett's playing, of course, is captivating. Have to say that. But the best part of the song is the percussion and Banks. And then Hackett and Banks near the end, as the song is unwinding towards the climax, is just, as it's coming to an end rather, is just master stroke from the whole band, especially these two. And doing this at the end is hard to describe, but it's wonderful. And then the wonderful Isle of Plenty to wrap things up. A reprise of the first song, because you have that acoustic motif returning from Dancing with the Moonlit Night. So the album comes full circle in that regards. It's a headphone song for me because of Gabriel's round that he sings that's overdubbed. This is a wow of a song, and it's a great ending. What a great album. What a great band. So my number one choice, Selling England by the Pound. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you next time.